The auditorium waited, tense and electric, a pale hum of whispers draping over rows of navy robes and gold sashes. Walking the stage, I pressed my new diploma between sweaty fingers, then looked back at the crowd, my family. And everything went still, the only sound, a faint jangle of a janitor's keys. The walls seemed to be listening too. The microphone blinked beneath the hot lights. The rector slipped me an index card of safe words, hard work, friendship, dreams, before murmuring, "Be quick, Carolina." I was the first in my family to finish university. I thought I'd earned this voice, my mother in front holding my brother's hand, her mouth a thin line, my father arms folded tight steadying himself. Cousins, uncles, everyone blurred yet painfully clear. I had practiced. No hey sueños ridiculos solo midos pequeños, there are no ridiculous dreams, only small fears. I wanted it to be true for all of us. Heart pounding I started, es diploma no es solo mio. It belongs to everyone who's. There it was, a cough snapped the hush and then a sneer, "Your dream to play with robots and viruses." Santiago, my cousin, always just loud enough. Students choked back laughter. Another voice joined. "Is this science or science fiction?" The room's uncertainty turned sharp and cold. I looked at the exit sign, burning with shame. Swallowing, I continued, "We can solve problems, disease, hunger, climate." Someone cut me off. "Going to fix the world with your computer, Caro." I stopped, searched for my mother's face, but she only squeezed my brother's hand harder. My father held his jaw tight. In that moment I understood I would not be rescued. My dream, naive or not, was mine alone. I finished quickly. "Thank you." My voice trembled with something like defiance. The applause was short and careful. I sat straight. Later at the cramped apartment party, family pressed snacks and half-joking praise into my hands. But always, "Why ahora que?" Now what? My mother soft, "Maybe you'll teach, we'd be proud." My father practical. "Smart girls help their families." I didn't argue. Their world was practical, heavy with rent and old parents and dreams measured in jobs. But I had tasted what it meant to stand alone. Impossible to forget. The next months blunted the thrill of that day. I sent my resume everywhere I could, labs, clinics, startups. Most places said no openings. Many said nothing. In the end, a professor grudgingly let me wash beakers in a genetics lab at UBA, trailing after postdocs who didn't see me. I coded models at night in my little mosquito-thick apartment, sketching out algorithms on notebook corners, gobbling YouTube lectures and borrowed textbooks. Every peso counted. Most went for outdated computer pieces or internet time in a smoky cafe. My father shook his head. "That lab thing, when's it time for a real job?" My mother watched me quietly, sometimes bringing tea. Friends drifted to safe jobs, teaching, banks. Some urged me to go abroad. Santiago, grilling at a barbecue, nudged me. "Insurance firm could use you, Caro. This sci-fi stuff's a joke." He grinned, ketchup on his lip. "You'll thank me." The apartment, after a while, felt smaller every day. One sticky night, the curtains flapping, I lay flat on my bed, city lights striping the ceiling. I realized I'd stopped telling anyone my idea. Maybe everyone was right. Girls from Flores didn't build things that lasted. But the tiny core of resolve in me burned on, smoldering. I dug deeper. Journal articles about gene editing and neural networks fueled lonely weekends. My work became private, a quiet rebellion. The silence was sometimes a comfort. If no one believed in my dream, I would sharpen it until it bled. One day in the chilly campus cafeteria, my lab supervisor asked, "All those scripts, what are you really working on?" He sounded half suspicious. I answered, "I'm trying to train an AI to spot rare disease mutations in genetic data, faster than old methods." He just nodded and sipped his coffee, but a week later he dropped a stack of forms on my desk. "There's a grant competition, prove it's not nonsense." We didn't win first try, not even close. Second time we came close, reached finals. The supervisor's attitude softened. "Try again next year." I kept going. I learned the ugly routines, poster sessions, blank stares, free pastries for lunch. But with each failure I grew stronger, less afraid. Buenos Aires, too, was always teetering between hope and disaster. My friends took night shifts. Some left, others just stopped answering messages. My parents still asked after jobs. After a while I stopped pretending. "It's going," I'd say. I found others eventually. Lucia, fierce programmer. James, statistics wizard and nighttime bartender. My apartment became our headquarters. Pizza, debate, laughter at software bugs, then discoveries that made us gasp. A protein sequence, a clue no one else had noticed, a new path in rare pediatric cancers. We wrote it up, sent it to Nature, rejected in 4 days. Lucia swore, deleting the email. James poured Fernet. Next, I said. We all laughed, hollow but persistent. Money ran out. The university closed our lab for lack of funds. One night, caught in the rain, heads down on the bus, I wondered if I'd been deluding myself. Maybe dreams did have a social class. Then came an email. Dr. Hart, a visiting American, asked to meet. We sat in a Palermo cafe, sunlight chilly on his tweed sleeves. He examined our results in silence. Our institute in Boston is starting a new genomics center. Want to come? It was a wrench to leave, but I said yes. My parents watched me pack, my mother pressing a rosary into my hand, my father quietly reminding, "Don't forget who you are, Caro." The plane lifted over sagging laundry lines and orange roofs, and I pressed away tears. Boston was grey, ordered, nothing like Buenos Aires, but the work was everything I'd hoped: endless money, dazzling machines, all-nighter coding sessions. Still, I heard the laughter from graduation in my mind, felt the threat of letting family down. I worked to exhaustion, my English improved, work deepened, and sometimes I found I barely recognized my own voice. Years blurred by, our algorithm made it through trials, then deployments. The project, born in Flores in poverty on old laptops, became standard for diagnosing rare childhood diseases in hospitals across South America. Publications, grants, awards, the outside world began noticing. To the media, I became another immigrant success story. They never heard the sting of old jokes. I longed for Buenos Aires, the mate, the wild stampede of street life, my mother humming in the kitchen. We still spoke. My parents' pride was restrained. Once my father mentioned my work, but only as a curiosity. Something complicated with computers and children, I think. Then came an email from a childhood cancer charity. Would I give a talk at Santa Rosa Children's Hospital? Directors from all over Argentina want to see the technology. Family welcome, the invitation finished. My hands shook as I dialed home. My mother burst out, "Ven, hija. You must come." Returning in December, the city was overwhelming. The perfume of flowers and car exhaust, the racket of kids and fruit sellers, colors smearing everything. I took the subway home, let the graffiti and noise fill me up. At our flat, my mother hinted at tears, hair streaked with new grey. My father hugged me, awkward but real. Santiago, sheepish, offered a handshake. Dinner felt crowded with stories, a little tense. Nobody asked about my work, not directly. On the day of my talk, Santa Rosa Hospital stood gaudy and hopeful in the glare of summer, the room filled with doctors, journalists, and at the back, my entire family. My mother fingering her beads, my father stone-faced, Santiago, eyes on his phone. I began, explained how our AI worked, how diagnoses came quicker now, how our system could guide treatment for kids who had always had to wait. I tried to ignore old doubts, but my voice was steady. Then came the demonstration. The physicians rolled out a battered monitor running our system. Lucia, flown in, input anonymized data. The model spat out results, practical suggestions doctors could use immediately. Not a miracle, just better odds sooner. The head doctor asked, "How many of you have seen recoveries thanks to this?" Hands rose, quiet at first, then more, forging a wave. Luciana, a child who had benefited, shyly pressed her mother's hand. At the back of the room, my family was changed, eyes wide, silent in a new way. Santiago lowered his phone, watching. My mother wiped her eyes. My father simply stared. A reporter asked, who believed at the start this was possible. I found myself smiling. No one, not even me some days, but every no I heard taught me how to say she louder. What matters is the proof, in every child who received help on time. Afterward, people crowded around, offering thanks, running the word doctora over and over as if blessing it. I walked outside into shimmering heat. My father, slow and tired from years of work, approached and hugged me hard, his voice cracked. "Perdoname, Caro, I didn't understand." At our family dinner, everything was lighter. Smiles were genuine, the mocking warmth faded into genuine praise. Santiago raised a toast, La Doctora, so it wasn't all science fiction. The laughter was shared, not sharp anymore. Later that night on our tiny balcony, the city buzzed without apology. I breathed the humid air, flowers and old dust. Here I was finally understood, no longer a joke, not a fantasy. I belonged again, not because I'd been right, but because I'd kept going. Only by leaving, by daring to fail, had I really come home.